Hey there folks, Matt the Lazy Cook here. In this video, as you can see, I'm going to turn that pile of limes into something interesting, and today I'm going to make lime jelly. So the previous video I posted was about making jam. This one's very similar. Start by chopping up limes, but there's an extra step in there which we'll get to. So all in all, I think I cooked up about 2 kilos of limes, which became about a kilo and a bit of liquor, which means that that's what I'm going to put about 1 kilo of sugar in there. As you can see there, just going through making sure with all the limes that they're still pretty good. These limes came from a friend of mine, and they had been hit by a storm, so they're not perfect to eat, but they make really nice jelly. So we'll speed up the video here and we'll go through the next part of the process. Well, there you go. It wasn't quite all of them, it was about half. And what I've done now is just covered them with water and put them on to boil. Again, this is same as the last one. You need to boil and mash your fruit before you do the next parts and make sure everything works well. So enjoying a good coffee, and we'll be back soon. The limes have been simmering away for about 20 minutes or so they're all nicely cooked. By now I've turned the heat off, and what we need to do is give them a quick mash again and get ready to strain them. The straining this time is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so we've finished mashing and they've cooled down a little bit, and so now I'm going to strain them, and this is the different part of the process. So what I've got is just that little plastic X thing in there, is to hold the colander above the water line, above the liquor line, so that when it strains it doesn't sit in water to strain, because it doesn't strain properly. What I've got there is an old pillowcase that's very fine. It's just a cotton pillowcase that I've used for many years, hence it looks a bit ratty, but it gets washed every time, so it's all clean. And put that around the edge, around the inside of the colander, and that will then be a very fine strain. We'll make sure most of the fruit pith and the seeds and everything else is going to stay in the colander rather than go into the jelly, because I want this jelly to be very clear. So there we go, straining the liquid, and oops, I did go a little bit too far with that. So that will strain out all the liquid and keep all the fruit and pith and everything else in the colander, which is exactly what I want. So we'll let that go for a while and see. This is the same as when I was making the raspberry jam. Okay, so we finished straining. That's normally an overnight job, that does take a while. And what we've got there now is the lime juice straight out of the strainer. The rest of it has been put into the recycler. And now we're going to add, that was about 1 kilo and a bit of sugar. As you can see, I'm very good at my measurement. And we'll put the heat on and give it a good stir to make sure that it's the sugar is dissolved properly. Okay, so you can tell now that the sugar is all dissolved, and in fact you can see the bottom of the pan quite clearly in there, which means that it's a very clear liquid, which is fantastic. It's exactly what we want. So while that's heating up, I'm probably going to get some bottles ready, and we'll see as the liquid warms and starts to boil that there'll be a layer of impurities across the top of the jam, or the jelly, once again, and this is totally expected and to be dealt with. So now it's just a waiting game as the jelly heats up. So it's going fast, and while I'm waiting for that to boil, and you can see the discoloration beginning, getting my bottles ready, putting them into the oven and starting that sterilisation process. Lids of course are going into the saucepan for the same reason. And now you'll see that as it starts to boil, we get this really big line of impurity across the top of the jelly, which is great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I get my strainer, and before it starts to boil, it just literally peels off just about. Take that top layer of impurity off. Now this one's easier because there's no fruit to try and keep in the solution. It's just a solution, or there's no fruit pulp. And you can see now that's gone very clear. Taking that top layer of impurity off has made the jam look a whole lot neater and cleaner and better. So that's fantastic. I'm going to keep on watching it and keep on boiling, And as per usual, I'm looking for a slow rolling boil, nowhere near that, so I've got to boil it for a lot longer yet. Okay, so it's finished boiling. That's a nice rolling boil. So, and somewhere in there I managed to get a sample into the freezer, and you can't see that particularly well because there's too much glow there, but that set beautifully, which doesn't surprise me. It's a lime jelly. It's always going to set nicely. So that's it, finished. Turn the stovetop off, give it one last quick stir through, and then we're going to bottle it. And this is a stage where you can actually hurt yourself, so please be very careful. The liquid in there is very hot. It may not be boiling, but it certainly is near enough to or just over 100 degrees Celsius because there's not much water in there. And of course the bottles are, yes, hot. Okay, so as I'm bottling away, they are hot bottles out of the oven. You can see that the jelly in there is boiling because they are going into very hot bottles. So be careful that you don't boil them over as you're filling your jam, or as you're filling your bottles. So there you go, lime jelly, made from limes, sugar and water. Vegan friendly, vegetarian friendly, and absolutely delicious. Thanks for watching, have a great day.